Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing a hand played between me and Adrian Mateos. This hand was towards the end of day 3 in the 10k main event in the Bahamas, which he actually won. It was a pretty pivotal hand for both of us. I think I potentially made a mistake in this hand, maybe even two mistakes. So I'm going to analyze it as thoroughly as I possibly can, try and get to the bottom of the mistakes I made, maybe why I made them. Maybe we can all learn something. Just before I start, my philosophy with reviewing hands is you should always try to be your own devil's advocate. So it's one thing to say that let's call or raise, but it's another thing to say um, what are the merits of fold, even if fold is obviously standard. Why is that not what we're doing? And to go into extra detail and scrutinize stuff that might be considered standard, just because it's very easy to compound errors in poker by just getting used to something, to just assume that that's the way to play a hand when it could in reality just be a bad habit. So I do think that's important to reinforce the why behind why you make the decisions you make in this game. So let's start. To give you some context to this hand, it was the last level of day 3, was still like 30 something players left. And what's the perception we have of each other? This is the starting point with a hand, really. It's one thing just to say, here's what I had and here's my position. It's another thing to say, who is my opponent? What does my opponent think of me? And what do I think of my opponent? Because that's going to change how we take different inflection points in the hand. So my perception of him, I think that he is an extremely good player. He's got an insane list of results. I would say he's very good at large field tournaments. I've noticed that he's quite good with stack preservation. Not to say that he's tight, he's definitely not. But if he has the choice whether to say go all in for like a big amount with a small pair pre-flop, I think he's the type not to take it. That doesn't mean he's low variance, but I think you could argue that in some ways he is in like a 10k main. Maybe he plays different in some of the bigger tournaments. So that's just some of my perception of him. His perception of me, we've played together once or twice in 10k tournaments and not really had any interesting hands. So I assume he thinks I'm somewhere between a bad and a good reg. I'm not really sure. So without further ado, it folds to me in the small blind. The blinds are 400, 800k, as you can see on the screen here. I have him covered. He has 16.2 million to start the hand, including his big blind. So he has just over 20 big blinds. And the hand I have is ace-8 of spades. So this is the first inflection point. What should we do here? We can call, we can fold, we can raise to a certain amount, we can just go all in. So let's have a think about what we should do. So first I'm going to rule out fold, which seems pretty trivial. It folds to us in the small blind. Obviously this is one of the better hands we can have. So now we can either limp, we can raise to a size like 2.5 to 3.5 bigs, or we can just straight up go all in. Going all in is going to be fine, but it feels like to me that it wastes our hand because ace-8 suited is so strong blind on blind. But I do think there's still good merit in it because it stops me having to play post-flop with him, and he can't exploit the fact I'm going all in because this hand is just a hand you can go all in with for that many big blinds. Obviously, it stops me from having to play out of position, which is really nice. So why did I not go all in? Okay, let's explore limping first. So if I was to limp and he was to check, he just gets to realize all of his equity with all of his 9-4 off and like random hands which just have a good percentage against me. He's in position. He's a very good player. So limping, I started to kind of rule out pretty quickly. I think too quickly in game because I could limp jam. There's a chance that he's going to attack my limp enough that limp jamming with this hand is still nice, but I kind of ruled out limp maybe too quickly in game because I wanted a chance of winning pre, but I also wanted to, I guess, I don't know, I kind of went in the middle of these options. So the thing I actually chose to do, which I'll try play now, is to raise to 3.5 big blinds. And in hindsight, I actually don't like this sizing. I was thinking he's going to fold more often and he's still going to call with hands which I'm ahead of with ace-8 suited. He's also going to go all in sometimes, and I can call the all in profitably. So it seems like every option is pretty nice. I get to win pre, I get to call and get it all in good, or at least okay, profitably, not necessarily ahead. And he gets and the pot's bigger, so the times that we're going to play post flop, there's less decision making, which is also nice. I'm still ahead of his range. So on a site, let's have a quick look at one of the ranges I've found here. So this is a solved range for defending the big blind versus a small blind 3x. So this can kind of give us an idea of what he's doing. The hands color coded by yellow are to call, and the hands color coded by red are to go all in. So for example, aces is always a call, and queen 5 suited you should be going all in with. Looks like about 2/3 of the time to me. As you can see that the solvers like to call more with suited hands, and it likes to go all in more with offsuit, as you can see by all of the ace X here. So the ace 2 through to ace king, other than ace 5, it's going all in pretty much all the time, and slightly less with ace 6 offsuit. But then all the aces suited, ace 7 through to ace 3 suited it likes to call with, and then all of the suited kings it calls, whereas it jams king queen off, it jams king 10 off sometimes, but not king jack. It's which might seem a little bit strange, but it's all to do with how the ranges play against each other post flop and what gets you the nicest advantage. You can see it's always jamming 3s and 2s, but then it starts to jam less as the pairs get bigger, and then it always starts to trap with hands like pocket 9s. So if we, the fact that I have 3.5x means that this is going to be a lot tighter. Like I can't see him ever having 8-6 offsuit. I can't see him ever having 10-7 offsuit hands like this, which he shouldn't because I've got a bigger sizing. I also can't see him ever jamming queen 5 suited here, or like queen 8 offsuit. I think he's the type to just call. He's just going to play in position. He's going to play some poker. He's going to play really good. I don't think he wants to just... I don't even think he wants to jam ace 2 off here very often, to be honest, especially when I 3.5x and we haven't played blind on blind yet. So I just don't expect him to be going all in as much as he should. I do think he will probably go all in with a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 10s sometimes. But maybe that's just a false assumption, just because it's so late in a tournament. I think winning the pot now becomes part of this equation, so he still should go all in with some hands that the solver wants to trap. Like maybe it would be better for him to go all in with a hand like it's mostly the pairs, to be honest. Maybe king jack off would be a nicer all in, just because winning now, but at the same time it's in position, it plays really well, it crushes a lot of my range. So this is going to give us an idea of his range going forward if he decides to call, which he does. So it folds around to me, I raise the 2.8, and he calls. Okay, so let's see a flop. The flop is queen 10 5 with the 5 of spades. I have ace 8 of spades. So now I have 1 over, a backdoor nut flush draw, and I'm out of position. The pot's now 6.4 million, so the stack to pot ratio is just over 2. So here is the next inflection point. And just to go back slightly to pre-flop, I actually believe that I should have sized down a little bit. I think going 3.5x, although my thoughts was that I'm going to get more folds, which is nice, it kind of makes his range a lot stronger, whereas my hand would also play well if I can do multiple streets. It would play well if I get to play against more like 8-7 offsuit stuff that might fold when I 3.5x. So I might be folding out hands that I crushed that becomes bad for me. But he is still, I can't see him ever folding an ace there. Even like ace 2 off, if he doesn't jam, I can't see him ever folding. So it's not the end of the world that I've chosen this size. And now the pot's going to be bigger, so we get less decisions. Okay, so next decision. Do we c-bet? Do we check? Again, I think this is pretty tough spot. I decided that once I 3.5x this board, if we go back to the range, remembering this is a weaker range, I thought he was going to be more so in the top left quadrant, so he was going to have a lot more Broadway cards, or like down to 8-9s and all like of these, a lot of the suited stuff, or some queen X suited, or some like some of the king jack off still. Maybe jack 9 off is one of the worst like offsuit hands that he calls with, 10-9 off. So I thought he just hits a pair too often on this board, and my hand isn't that great anymore. But to counter that, if I was to c-bet here, although it does let him play quite perfectly, he probably only folds maybe, I don't know, he might never fold a better hand, but we do get to barrel him off better hands. So the times he has, say, 5-6 of diamonds and I bet the flop, if I turn like a king or maybe a 9 or a spade or something I want to barrel, I'm going to get some money off his 5x that fold later. Maybe I can even make him fold a 10 later, which is nice. So, which street are we on? Okay, so I decided to check because I thought he will have too many pairs here. I might get to see a free turn card. I've spoke to some people about this, and they've kind of said that I could bet really small. I could bet somewhere between like 15 and 25% pot, just to start to carry on the aggression, to stay uncapped, and then get to targeting these 5x and these 10x hands later on. Control the bet sizing myself as well, whereas if I check, he can just price me out. This isn't a hand I want to check fold very often because it's a nut flush draw and it's an over, but if he bets like 40% of the pot or more, I think I just have to check fold given the stack depth. So him not being able to do that would be pretty nice. So I decided to check in game. I think I could be convinced that betting pretty small might be better. And then we'll see what he does. Okay. It's gone forward pretty quickly there, but he bet 2.2 million into a pot of 6.4 million. So he bet slightly over a third of the pot. And this is a really tough spot because yeah, I'm beating King Jack, King 9, Jack 9, Jack 8. If he even bets all of those, he might not bet all of them. I'm beating all of his stabs, like 6-7 of diamonds, 6-7 of clubs, and I'm crushing his backdoor spades if he ever has like 8-9 of spades. Not 8-9, sorry. If he has like 9-7 of spades, maybe 6-8 of spades, 6-9 of spades, sorry, or like 6-7 of spades. So it'd be really nice the times that we both backdoor spades, but given the stack depth, it's pretty difficult for that to happen. And I'm not going to get the implied value that would be good from flush over flushing someone, so it becomes quickly less relevant. But having said that, if he does stab a lot here, then folding this hand would just be criminal because I'm so far ahead. And there's so many turns I can continue on, and it's fine just to have this hand as a call and then just fold a brick turn if he barrels, or maybe we both check the turn and I can river like an 8 or an ace, which is good. So yeah, I think if he bets quarter pot, it's an easy call. If he bets half pot, it's an easy fold. He bet just over a third, so let's take a look at the price I'm getting on this turn. So he put 2.2 million, and the pot after I call is 10.8. So times by 100 to get it as a percentage. That's the equity I would need if we were just to see all the cards and there was no more betting. Which is it's pretty clear that I have more than 20% against his range. But the times he barrels me off the turn is a big factor into this equation. And obviously I know he's also a good aggressive player. So I think folding the flop here might be best again, but it's still close. I could still go either way with it. Given that I think he's going to make very, very good decisions, I think folding now probably is the play. And just to go over the other option, check raise, I think if we had different stack depth would be worth considering, but not with this because the times he jams, or it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a very valid option here at this stack depth to me. But if you think check raise is good, let me know. So let's see the turn, given the fact that I've called. The SPR going to the turn is pretty small. So let's see. Okay, so I decided to check call the flop, and the turn is the 6 of spades, as you can see here. The stack is slightly off. He should have 12 million here, and the pot's 10.8 million, which I think is just a software glitch. So I have my ace 8 of spades here. I've turned the nut flush draw, a really good card for me in theory. But there's a problem here. If I check, and he goes all in for 12 million into 10.8, I'm going to be absolutely in the bin. I'm going to be forced into a really horrible spot where I don't know if I'm getting the right price against his all-ins. I'm not going to have much time to figure it out because there's shot clocks. So I was tanking on my shot clock to try preemptive the sizes he was going to choose and how I was going to respond to them. And is it worth considering a donk lead here? It wouldn't be very conventional because the 6 isn't very good for my range in theory. Like, it looks like I have mostly hands like ace high, like ace jack a lot, a hand like a 10x or maybe some traps. I just don't really see a justifiable range way of leading the 6, but as an exploit, is it good? So first, if I can lead small, then I don't think he's going to go all in enough. That could set my price. Like if I lead for 25% pot or something, and let's say he doesn't go all in with a queen often enough, that can be good because then I get to realize for cheaper than him going all in if that was what he was going to do. but it rules out the times that I check and he checks back. So then we're potentially making the pot bigger than it was going to be otherwise, or just letting him play perfect by folding out all his complete air if he has air stabs on the flop. There's also the fact that I just don't know how he's going to respond to a lead. So if I lead small, he might just go all in really wide because he knows that I just don't have that much. So it's kind of like a weird street poker thing, but I didn't have any assumptions on Mateos that he would overfold here. So I think the only lead worth considering is the lead all in. And a lead all in, what are the benefits? So he folds out all of his air, which is good because they can have equity against us, even like Jack 8 or Jack 9, or even like a King 7 of clubs or something. Like a lot of his random hands can just have equity, so folding out that is never bad. But there is the fact that I fold out all of his flush draws. So if he did stab the flop with 7-9 of spades, that's going to bet the turn, and I have that pretty crushed, so that it's going to be pretty horrible to make that fold. There's also the fact that if I go all in, he might just always call really wide. So he might call me with 6-7 of diamonds here. He might call me with all of his 10x. He might call me with, I don't know how wide. And I genuinely wasn't sure. If I thought by going all in, he always folds a 5 and a 6, I think I would have potentially done it. But it seems like a weird area of poker. It's like assumption land. And as much as I love that area of poker, I just don't have those assumptions about Mateos, which is the problem with playing with good players. You don't get to kind of find these nice intricate spots to exploit people. So I decided to check the turn, and he goes all in, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen. He went all in for 12 million into a pot of 10.8. If you're looking at the pot on the screen, that's the pot after I make the decision to call. Spoiler alert. So let's decide, did I make a good call here against the range that I think he has? Let's have a think. So what does he have for value first? Okay, I would give him for sure Queen 7 through to like Queen 7 suited, Queen 8 suited, Queen 9 suited, Queen Jack offsuit. I think King Queen off he would go all in with pre. So there's a few queens there. I think 5s and 6s he would go all in with pre a lot. But maybe there's a small frequency that he can have those. Pocket 10s as well. I thought he would go all in pre, but maybe he can just flat that in position and not want to risk his whole stack. But I think that he would jam with 10s more often than not, which also means queens is possible. But there's a lot of value I think that this all in also lets us rule out, because for example, let's look at a hand like top set queens or Queen X of spades, like Queen 7 of spades or Queen 10 for top 2 pair. These hands are all so strong. I just don't see them going all in for over pot, because I just have to fold so often versus that size. I think they just get to bet small. And that's the same with 10x of spades. I just don't give him any of those hands. So I think the times that he has a spade draw, I always have him crushed, which is already going towards the fact that I should call. So what's he jamming for value? Pocket kings, pocket aces, Queen X that doesn't have a flush draw. Queen 6 suited. There's 2 combos of that, but I think it's very plausible. Queen 5 suited, the same. 5-6 suited if you bet the flop, which I think is very plausible. 10-6 suited if he has that hand pre-flop. I don't think he has 10-5 suited pre-flop all the time, but I mean, it's plausible. So then what are his bluffs? King Jack offsuit is a hand that I am doing very, very well against. Jack 9 is the same. All of his spade draws that stab the flop, so 7-9 of spades, 3-4 of spades, King X of spades, I'm so far ahead of. So I think the best thing to do is try and plug this hand in versus a perceived range. Okay, so let's check my pot odds. It's 12 million to win a pot of 34.8 million, and times that by 100 to get it as a percentage, which means I need 34.48%. Just for ease, let's round that up to 35% equity that I need to make sure that it's more profitable, let's say. Now let's take that 35% and times it by how many cards are left in the deck. So there's 8 cards that we know, which is the 4 cards on the flop and the 4 cards in my hand and his hand once it's turned over, which leaves 44. So let's do that times by 44 cards left in the deck. So I need 15.4 outs to make this directly profitable. So how many outs do I have with this hand? So I have 9 spades, and I have 3 aces. They're my outs against just a queen if he has queen jack. So I have 12 outs against the hands that are good. And if he has one of the really good hands, like the 2 pair, 5, 6 suited or something, then I still have my 9 outs. So that's a nice place to start for this hand for us to consider calling. So what are his bluffs? Well, I think king jack, the times he doesn't jam pre and he doesn't check the flop and he doesn't check the turn, is very plausible. King jack we're doing exceedingly well against. He has outs against me instead. So he can hit one of the 3 aces, he can hit one of the 3 nines that's not a spade, and then it's subject to whether he has a spade in his hands, how many kings and jacks he can hit. But we are absolutely destroying that hand. And then if you take king 7 of spades, again, he just has 6 outs. We're so far ahead, so I'm going to have to find a range converter to fully solve this spot. Okay, now let's put this spot into Equilab. So first of all, what's the flop? It is any queen, any 10, 5 of spades, and the turn is the 6 of spades. Okay, this is all we know. Let's put in my hand in the small blind here, which is ace of spades, 8 of spades. Now I want to plug in a range for him. So let's see how we can break this down. Okay, so the final range that I think is most realistic to give him here, we've got aces and kings. I've got queen jack suited and queen jack offsuit, queen 9 offsuit, queen 8 offsuit, and then all of these suited queens except for the spade combos. Jack 9 in spades, king 9 spades, king 7 spades, king 4 spades, 9 7 spades, jack 9 king jack with 1 spade, ace 10 with no spade, 6 5 suited and 4 3 suited. I think this is a realistic range for him to jam. Maybe you think he might jam with king 10 too sometimes to deny. Maybe he'll check or bet small. It's hard to say. Maybe there's sometimes that he'll jam the top 2 pair, but I just don't see it. So I think this is probably the best range I can give him. Gives me the 36.71% I need to make that sweet 2% equity of the pot, which is huge at this point in the tournament. So I think I actually made a good call. I think analyzing the range pretty in-depthly, I think my hand is just too good at this point. It's annoying when his jams over pot, but the price is just there. So let's see the final result of this hand. I called the all-in on the turn, which I wasn't sure about at the time. And unfortunately for me, the river was a queen, and he had queen 9 offsuit, which is worked into the equation. It's a hand that I had the wrong price against this time, but it's expected that he shows up with this hand sometimes. And in hindsight, I think I made a good call. I think I could have raised less pre-flop. I could have limped pre-flop. I could have folded the flop, or I could have bet myself on the flop. All of those would have changed a lot about the way this hand went forward. I think it's important to consider all of the options that I've just spoke about as well. I think they all have good merit for different reasons. And my current stance is that I definitely should have made it max 3x pre-flop. I should have gone somewhere between 2.75 and 3x. I think limping versus Mateos in particular to limp jam wouldn't have been as good because I think he checks more often to keep a low SPR. But again, that might be a bad read. Going to the flop, I think betting really small, like 15 to 20% pot, I like the idea of, and then I would have just jammed that turn, I guess, or maybe set up for free streets. But yeah, that's the problem with betting small as well. I don't get to jam the turn unless I jam over pot, but I'm sure it's still going to fold out all these 5x. I think there's a lot of ways to navigate this hand, and that's why I chose to analyze it. It's very interesting. Maybe I blew it with a flop call and it ended up getting me into this mess, but I'm happy I've gone and looked into it now. So I hope this was a good analysis for you to learn some stuff off of. I'm going to be doing more stuff like this in the future. I'm going to be making more premium paid content as well as keeping up some free stuff. If you're interested in any coaching or any hand history reviews or anything along those lines, feel free just to reach out to me. And subscribing to the YouTube channel because I'm going to be making more free content like this. I hope you enjoyed or learned something. Thanks for watching.